Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me as always are my good buddies, Eddie Guevara and Chuck Caputo. Gentlemen, what's up?
All right. How's it going, everybody?
All righty. Welcome to another episode of our fantastic podcast. And before we get into seeing what's new with you guys in today's discussion, everyone out there, we have the Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest going on. If you're not aware, or even if you're halfway into it, head over to houseoftheunusual.com. It's the top one in our forum. It's right up top. It says Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, man, because it's really cool, and you have a chance to win a really cool prize. So the rules are simple. Head over to 1878press.com, and I do have a link in the description on the form. Purchase the Mastery Mystery Robot Model and anxiously await for its arrival. Just complete the robot and send in a photo or video of you with your completed Mastery Mystery Robot Model to houseoftheunusual@gmail.com. Panel of highly trained monkeys will pick the best finished model. One winner will receive a fully colored 7-foot Frankenstein monster poster, a value of over $140. Wow, you just pay shipping and that's it, and you get this great Frankenstein monster poster, and there are some photos of it on the forum site. So hurry, entries must be submitted by September 1st, 2022 at 12 a.m. Eastern Time. The winner will be announced on September 5th, 2022 by email and on the forum site. The lucky winner will also be praised to the highest standards on an episode of the House of the Unusual podcast. So don't forget, head over to houseoftheunusual.com and get your Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest information. I tell you what, Chuck, I'm not in the contest, but I did start on my cheat cutting it out, and it's very tedious. Whoever puts this together is definitely, and they take their time.
That's right.
And they do a cool robot. They'll definitely earn that Frankenstein monster poster. And I know you put one together not too long ago, correct?
Yes, I did. And you know what? It took a while. You know what? It's a fantastic, very nice looking robot, man. You know what? But I'd like to see this panel of monkeys. That'd be kind of cool. Who's that?
I think it consists of me, you, and Eddie. I'm not sure, but yeah, I tell you what. I just a little tip for people out there that are going to tackle this. Just take your time and don't try to do it all at once, because
exactly
you won't be able to. I used an X-Acto knife to cut mine. And I did about 5 to 8, about 5 pieces a night. And that, doing about 5 pieces will take you maybe almost about an hour or so. If you take your time, get some nice cuts in there. It's a thick cardboard, and you'll see it once you see the plans. There's a lot of intricate detail on there that if you don't take your time, it's going to come out looking like a mess. But it's, just enjoy I enjoyed myself. Chuck and Eddie, I had I grabbed a cold beer. It was late at night. I put on a classic monster movie on the TV, and I sat there for an hour, and I cut out some of these pieces.
That's right. Hey, that's a nice way to spend the evening. You're right. Just do it piece by piece. Don't rush. Take your time, man. No hurry.
Yeah, I tell you, and it was really fun. It was really kind of, it was really Zen-like. I was kind of in, just relax. It was pretty cool. So. Yeah, we definitely want to see some people joining that up. And I believe the plans are $24.95 for a thick stock of cardboard, and you will not regret this. It's very cool. You won't find this anywhere else. So 1878press.com, or head over to houseoftheunusual.com. Check out that forum site, Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest, and the links are in the description there. So all right, we got that out of the way. Hey, guys, also check out, I hope you guys, everybody out there listening, ordered number 7 of Stupid Comics magazine, because it is out, and shipping. I received mine last week. It is absolutely fantastic. If you don't know what we're talking about, man, you guys have to get on board. StupidComicsMagazine.com. That's stupid spelled STOOPID. If you haven't got any of the issues, you could go on there and they have a great price for all of the back issues. So 0 through number 7. They have 8 issues total out. They're all fantastic. They are a combination of like Mad Magazine, Cracked, all those old black and white comics rolled into one. They feature some great artists and some great writers with original stories and artwork. It's you can't beat it. It's great. So and also make sure when you get your issue, check out the back. I believe it's the last page. There is a full ad for House of the Unusual on there. Ski did a fantastic job. So much appreciated. Guys, check that out. And last but certainly not least, mymoviemonsters.com. Issue number 127 for Scary Monsters is it's shipping now. So all you got to do is head on there, click the link, and you'll be able to get your very own Island Ghouls issue. Scott Jackson did some great work on the cover once again. There's some great articles in there. I do have one as well, so make sure you check it out. And also be on the lookout because number 36 of Castle of Frankenstein magazine will be coming this fall. Pre-orders are available now. So make sure you click the link on there and check them out. All right. That's enough of house cleaning for now. We'll at the end of the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about our YouTube channel and some stuff with us. But we wanted to get some of our friends and colleagues out of the way there and try to support them because, you know, we're all about community here and we want this community to grow. So speaking of that, Chuck, I'm going to turn it over to you. What's been new with you this great summer?
You know what? We've been taking it easy, man. I finished up a whole bunch of shows, so the last maybe 5-6 days, we've been pretty much taking it easy. I've been working on a few projects, trying to catch up with, with a few things that I'm building. And I did do my homework. Speaking of scary movies, Joe, I did watch It, Terror from Beyond Space.
Awesome.
Cool
movie.
Excellent movie. Highly recommended. I love the monster. I love the way that monster looked. He was like a stowaway inside the spaceship. I love the very calm demeanor of the guy who was accused of killing his, like 6 or 7 of the crewmates. He goes, no, I didn't do it. I would have been screaming. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? You know what I mean? And he, very, very calm.
It was. Yeah, did you kind of see the correlation to the original Ridley Scott Alien movie?
I did. Yep.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of just one and the same movie almost, and it was for the time of that movie, which I can't remember the exact year offhand. I believe it was 58 or somewhere around there, but
right,
just the special effects were really cool, especially that of them walking on the rocket outside into space.
I loved it. It was cool, man.
Yeah, I mean it was. I can only imagine, audience at that time watching this movie and what they were thinking, like, oh man, that's awesome. That's how it would be out in space and everything. And
yeah, and I think that was supposed to take place in 1973. I think it was supposed to be like futuristic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that was futuristic, 1973.
You gotta love a lot of these movies from like the 50s, and they talk about the future, but it looks exactly like it did in the 50s.
But that was a cool movie, man. You know what? And I like the monster. The monster was really neat.
Yeah. Did Sherry get a chance to watch it?
She did not, but I did. I checked it out, and it was really cool. I think I saw it years ago. There's parts of it that really look familiar, but it was a really neat movie. Highly recommended.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that they've played on TV, and like I said, I want to say I either seen the whole thing or parts of it long time, 20 years ago or so. And I when I was seeing it at Monster Bash again, I really didn't remember much of it. The only part I really remembered is when, which I thought was really funny, is when the guy had the shotgun through the door and the monster grabbed the shotgun and he looked all surprised.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Oh man,
good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and we'll talk more about some monster movies at the end here, but I want to see what's going on with our buddy Eddie over at House of the Unusual. I know he's been doing a lot of hard work over there, keeping up the YouTube channel and the website. So Eddie, what's new?
Hey, what's up? How are you guys? Well, it was kind of interesting because I was looking at the YouTube channel, And I noticed that what's getting a lot of hits are Chuck cemetery tours. The tours to the cemetery, it's getting like a lot of, which is kind of interesting. But it's like anything, it's interesting because you never know what people are into in a certain week. And you could have one particular video that you don't even think is going to do that well and skyrocket above the rest, you know?
Yeah.
This is what happened with this week's cemetery walk. But the overall thing is that, you know, everything's been going. I'm still working on the list for the YouTube channel. I have, I think, 200 and something videos that I have to sort and relist again.
Wow.
Relist meaning not they're there, but I'm saying change the name in where the playlist they're in. So that it's kind of hard to go through all of them and set them in. So it's a little harder than I anticipated, but I'm doing that. The other thing that I was kind of like wanted to tell people out there, whoever takes the contest for the robot, if they go online and search for the Houdini robot, they'll see a picture of that paper model, and they might be able to figure out where the parts go because it's not 100% clear on the actual poster. So it's kind of like you got to really guess there. So if you get there, you get an idea exactly where the parts belong, and it's an easy build instead of, you know, breaking your head apart. Other than that, everything else is pretty good, Joe.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. So, hey guys, I have a, let's see, I have a great movie for this week for everybody. And, I actually said this is another Monster Bash movie, and it was a first view for me. So I actually just remembered it today, and I really wanted to pass it on because it's an obscure pre-code film. It's more of a thriller than a horror, but it does have some horror aspects to it. And I don't want to say much about this movie because it has a very twist ending, and there's certain things during the movie, you know, that could give it away. So all I'm going to say about this movie, it's called The Double Door, and it's from 1934. It's directed by Charles Vidor, and it's written by Jack Cunningham and Gladys Lehman, and it stars Evelyn Venable, Mary Morris, Anne Revere, and Kent Taylor. And it was first released on May 4th, 1934 by Paramount Pictures. Again, it's called The Double Door. It runs about 75 minutes, and like I said, it's more of a thriller, but it has horror aspects into it. And the woman who, see, I don't want to say to it. There's the woman who's the main character. She plays such a good role that you really start to hate her. And her name is Victoria Van Brett in the movie. And she is played by Mary Morris. And I'm telling you what, she plays such a domineering, evil woman that if you guys ever watched Game of Thrones out there and you remember the character of Joffrey, the king.
Oh, yeah.
That kid played such a good role that you start hating that king. I mean, I remember watching it and seething at the TV screen going, I just want to reach through and strangle this kid. He's such, you know, the way he is. And if you guys seen Game of Thrones, you'll know what that is. Well, that's the same way for this character, Victoria Van Brett in this movie. You just want to go to this mansion and just rip her a new one. But, the story is very good. It keeps you interested in the movie and what's going on, and the ending is it's a crazy twist ending, and it's very satisfying. We'll put it that way. So definitely check it out. You could find it on YouTube. Again, it is The Double Door from 1934, and I tell you what, I love any movie that's pre-code. And, you know, this is right around the time when the code was just, you know, starting to take over. So this is right on the cusp of it. But yeah, pre-codes are just, they're fantastic movies. I always look for anything, you know, if I don't know what I want to watch for that night or that week, I always maybe try to look for a list of pre-code, whatever it is, horror, sci-fi, thriller, film noir, because there's just so much more to the story. It gets just so much more in depth. When the code took over, I believe it was like around July 1st of 34. it really kind of softened up the movies a little bit. And there's a lot of information on the code, the code out there, Hays Code, and what it did to Hollywood in the movies and all that. You guys could go out and read a little bit about it. So yeah, that's it. Double Door. Have any of you guys seen that movie?
No, I have not, but I will definitely check it out. Sounds neat.
Eddie, have you ever heard about it?
Actually, to be honest with you, Joe, it sounds interesting. No, I haven't heard about it either.
Yeah, it's an obscure little movie. I had never heard of it before Monster Bash, so I'm glad they played it.
It's kind of like the when you guys were talking about the other movie that I told you guys I saw it only a few months ago, It From Outer Space, whatever. It's a great film. I was just not too happy with the ending, though. I agree with you guys. It's an awesome film. Jim, my buddy, says it's the best film ever. He gets mad at me but I said the ending could have been a little better for me, I think. But anyway, other than that, that's all I'll say. But it's a good film, though. And it's the same thing as Alien. I agree with you.
Yeah, the ending could have been better. A lot of those movies, 30s.
Hey, Joe.
Really,
Joe, I
nothing.
think
So,
a
lot of
Joe, if you can hear me, you left.
A lot of newer movies are the same way. I had recently watched the new.
Well, he's fading.
Yeah, I was trying to tell him. I don't know if he heard me when I said you left us. He was telling me, I think that it's pretty hot or something, so maybe he's having some outages, Chuck.
Yeah, it is very.
I'm sure he'll be back on.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is it's a scorch rider. Very hot, very humid, and it was actually drizzling earlier today, and but it stopped now. But it's very, very hot. Wow.
What I was thinking, Chuck, it's kind of funny though, because I especially in the Pittsburgh area, I was looking at some of like the houses in the area, and it's so easier to live in Pennsylvania than New Jersey.
Yeah,
they're really nice. Phenomenal areas over there, and stuff like that. I guess we'll probably have our friend Joe back on the spot here. He just likes. I have a feeling he went on one of those ghost tours. What do you think?
Maybe disappeared. Yeah, Hey, I'm going to try to make it to Kecksburg, Eddie. That'll be on. Is it July 23rd or 24th? Whatever day is a Saturday. We'll be coming.
You guys there?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Joe, I think I disappeared or something, man. The monster from beyond space came and grabbed
it got a hold of you.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Joe. I was telling Chuck, hey, Joe, I was trying to tell you that when you were talking before, you cut out completely, and then you went off completely. So, did you hear me?
Yeah, I could still. I was able to still hear you guys, and I was trying to say something. I'm like, well, they can't hear me. I don't know if my I'm looking at my internet now. It's kind of going low. It's probably because everybody's running, their air condition and everything. And I tell you what, the last week here in Northeast Ohio, there's been power outages everywhere because of, and I'm sure it's been like that everywhere because of people running their air and everything else. So if I disappear again, send out the rescue party.
Joe, before you heard me trying to reach out to you, go back about 2 minutes and then start again, because nobody heard that part when you were talking about like the movies. So go ahead.
What did I leave off on? Because I was talking about the about the end. I was talking about the ending on movies, how the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Some of them they just kind of ended, and it was really you're like, oh, what the heck, shouldn't there have been more? But I was watching the new Spider-Man movie a couple weeks ago, and the ending was really lackluster for me on that. So it's not really old movies. There are some new movies that have these lackluster endings. But yeah, you're right, Eddie. Some of these old movies, they just kind of, usually the guy hugs and kisses the girl, and then boom, it's over, and you're like, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I was going to see the Spider-Man. I was trying to watch it. The Batman I wasn't too happy with. It's 3 hours long. And it was kind of lame, I was kind of surprised because a lot of people were saying it was good. Now with Spider-Man, I hear it's good. I haven't watched it. I'm going to probably try to watch it sometime this week.
It's not. I tell you what, I didn't like it. I'm a huge fan of the Tobey Maguire movies. Right. I absolutely William Dafoe as the Green Goblin. He's one of my favorite actors, and I've read the comics for the last 30 years, and they did not do the Green Goblin justice in this movie. They really watered him down. He should have been, the ultimate bad guy, evil, and then at the end, they fought him real quick. Boom, it's over. Movies ends, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, I've heard that two comments. I heard people say that Spider-Man is good. Some people say it's not. I don't know. I might, but I do like the first Spider-Man that did come out. What's the name of that guy? Toby, you said?
Tobey Maguire.
Oh, he's fantastic.
My favorite was especially when the girl that played, remember that she takes off his mask and kiss. I thought that the movie was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that movie.
I did too, and I never watched the Andrew Garfield ones, just because the whole thing with them with changing everything up, I didn't like it. But I tell you what, he was very good in this movie. He made me, and just to hear him as Andrew Garfield talk about the Spider-Mans and how much he respected the characters and Tobey Maguire and all that, and how he kind of felt towards them. Just listening to that and his performance in the movie, which I thought was fantastic, it makes me want to go back and at least check out I think he did 2 movies of Spider-Man. I thought he did very well. Tobey Maguire looked fantastic. The new kid that does Peter Parker, I can't remember his name offhand, but he does a great job as well. And it was just some of the villains were very lackluster.
Yeah.
You want them to be, your heroes are only as good as their villains.
Yeah, truth.
Yeah, if you have weak villains, you're going to have weak heroes. And they wanted to do like a Sinister Six type thing, but they only had 5 of them. I don't know why they didn't have the Rhino involved. That would have been absolutely perfect, but I think they kind of dropped the ball on that. And like I said, the Green Goblin, he is like the absolute evil towards Spider-Man. He is the bad guy, his arch nemesis. He is his
right.
He is his bad guy. That's who he fights. That's who ruins his life. And this Green Goblin was very watered down. The ending fight was lackluster, and I rented the movie off of Amazon, and I'm like, I wish I didn't.
When you're saying that, it's kind of interesting. The Rhino also appears against the Hulk a couple of times, doesn't he? Is it
the Rhino?
Yeah, isn't that the same Rhino? Because I know that
he may have, but he was more of a Spider-Man character. Yeah, he was one of the original bad guys for him.
Yeah, I remember there's a Hulk. I think it was an album or some one of those records like Read that you hear the record and it reads the comic book.
Yeah,
and I remember seeing one that there was like a rhino and some other beast, and they were trying to go up against Hulk, and then he jumps out of the air and they crash into each other. That's why when you said the rhino, you kind of reminded me of that. Now, let me tell you the honest truth though. When you're talking about films, like it's just the same thing. When you go to Batman. The one that this guy, Batman Begins, what's his name? The actor?
Oh, I can't remember. He was the one from True, or what was that vampire movie that all the teenagers like?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I
can't think of it.
I'm gonna look it up right now because that's gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna bother me. But he also did that film, The Prestige.
Robert Pattinson.
That's it.
Robert Pattinson.
No, that's not the one. That's not.
Yeah, that's who's in the new That's who's the new Batman.
No, I'm not talking about the new Batman. I'm talking about the Batman Begins, the second, right before the Dark Knight. He did the trilogy. Christian Bale. Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Yeah. Okay. Christian Bale. He did the Prestige as well. Christian Bale, the Batman Begins, I think is the best film of all of them. It was awesome, great film. I love him as an actor.
I think there's talks to bring him back in a 4th film.
Yeah, because I got to be honest with you, this guy who played Batman, this whole Batman was lame. It wasn't a great film. I don't think this guy is a great actor. He looked more like he was doing the Vampire Diaries. I think he did before. His hair was always. I don't think he's a good Batman, but Christian Bale did a phenomenal part. I think it was great. But let's get back. The other films I think weren't as great. Batman has better films than Spider-Man and Superman. Superman, the very first Superman with Christopher Reeves, if you remember, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
It was phenomenal, cool. But
that
then it
cool.
kind of got screwed up in the ending when he spins the Earth back in time. That was a little bit perfect.
Yeah. I think Margot Kidder played.
Yeah, she did. Lois Lane.
Lois Lane, that's right.
I met her in person. She was a really nice person, to be honest with you. I met her like twice, and I spoke with her a while. But I gotta, like I said, the last Superman, that was a horrible film. He punches a guy and he goes through like 4 cars. You kidding me? You know? And then with the Spider-Man films, I think like those, the beginning were better. But then again, the new Batman film was just lame, man. That was like 3 hours of wasted time in your life that you're like, what did I even watch that, man?
I tell you what, way back when I was a kid, I was a Hulk fanatic. I love the Hulk.
The Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah. Oh man. You know what? And then like even going back before that, like the late 60s, you know, I would read the Hulk comic books. That was my favorite. I was always a Hulk fanatic.
Oh yeah. Those Hulk covers from like the late 60s and 70s were great. I remember going to the flea market near me in this would have been maybe late 80s, early 90s. And those were some of the first comics I ever bought. I remember a box of Hulks being there for $1.
Oh my
god! I would have, you know, 8, 10, 12 bucks on me, and I would, you know, buy as many as I can. Usually the guy would give me a deal, give me a couple free. But yeah, I would go there I'd cut grass during the week. Whatever money I had, I'd take it up there and I'd buy the Hulks, and that's.
I tell you what, the Hulk was too cool. You know what? Yeah. Way back in the 60s, out here in Pittsburgh, we only had 3 stations. We had channel 2, 4, and channel 11. And then when I was about maybe 7 or 8, we got channel 53. But it took a special hoop. My dad had to hook up some kind of a UHF hoop on the back of the TV, and so that's when we tuned into the Hulk cartoon. That was about 1969, maybe 1970. And
those were great too.
It was too cool. Oh man.
Yeah, I tell you what, with all those cool cartoons from you had Super Friends, you had the Spider-Man cartoon. Those are all I loved all. I thought all those were really cool, great stories. And then you had what was the Marvel one? It was like, was it Super Friends? What was Spider-Man? Yeah, I think it was Super Friends with Spider-Man, Iceman, and then was it Spider-Woman, I think, or Starfire, something like that.
Right.
And then what was the DC one with all the characters?
Oh, that was was it the Fantastic Four?
That was Marvel.
Marvel, yeah.
It was the Super Friends. I don't think they had the Super Friends had DC had Superman and had all that stuff on it. That was the one, Joe. I don't think there was like 2 separate shows. I remember the Super Friends had Superman. They had like a bunch of them, Aquaman.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. DC was the Super Friends. Which one was the?
I don't remember Marvel. That's why you're throwing me off when you're saying Marvel. I don't remember that one.
I gotta look it up here.
Yeah. Aquaman was cool too. I almost forgot about him. Aquaman was neat.
Yeah, but you know what? The Hulk, I agree with you, Chuck. I used to love the Hulk comics. I always thought it was so funny the way anytime anything was going to happen to him, he did what Joe would do. I'm just leaving and leave the show, you know. He did before. He wanted to go check it from the above space, whatever, and he jumps on a craft and left the show. You know what I mean?
I think it was Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. It was Spider-Man, Iceman, and Firestar.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, ran in the 80s, 81 to 83. That's right.
You know what the problem is at that time, Joe? I was kind of married already, man. So I didn't really watch that.
You were watching cartoons then?
No. I got married and he was
still watching cartoons, but yeah.
No. I kept watching, but I didn't watch the Super Friends of Spider-Man. I only watched Bugs Bunny and and the Hanna-Barbera ones.
Oh yeah.
And then I got married and I got into this Star Trek, which was so funny. Growing up, I didn't like Star Trek. I liked Lost in Space, and I watched for like a whole year, man. Every single day, every Star Trek episode with me, my wife, and brother-in-law. We used to watch it on a religious basis every day. It was funny. But
were you collecting? Were you buying? Were either of you guys collecting comics around that time, 70s or 80s?
Yes, of course.
I tell you what, Joe, you know what? I think a comic book back in those days when I was real young was like a dime, maybe 12 cents, if that. And I would sometimes get $1, like if I would take back pop bottles to the store and I would read the comics. But at that time, you know what? Collecting wasn't in my mind. I just read the comic book. I rolled it up and put it in my back pocket. If you probably look at it nowadays, it was a highly collectible comic book, but I just more or less just rolled it up and put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, you can attest to this because you're a comic book collector, and I say to a lot of people between 1980, I think, or 81 and 85 or so, the only comic books you would see in stores were the Archie Digest comics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the comic books ceased to exist, man. There was like I was saying to myself, I remember I would look for. I'm like, what the heck? And there were no comic book stores anywhere in New Jersey, to be honest. The only place that you could buy comic book store, there was a store in New York, which is still there, called Starlog. And I think they're the only ones that had like comics, but I know they still publish them. I have no idea where the heck they sold them in the continental United States. But up to like 1984 or so, comic books were like, and then all of a sudden they make a resurgence that was amazing.
Yeah.
It just like comic book stores everywhere. It was crazy, but
I know prior to the comic stores, you had a lot of pharmacies carried them, and a lot of kind of like smaller specialty markets that had magazine. A lot of magazines would carry the comics, but you go into what's that?
Candy stores had them in a little rack, and
yeah.
Go by like Richie Rich and Casper, and then they ceased to exist, and then they made a resurgence to publish them. I think in 1987, 88, around there, right with the wrestling magazines, and then that's when they had a special ad like Harvey Comics. You could run a full page ad, Joe and Chuck, for like $650 or $700 a month for 6 months. Correct. In other words, you pay $700 and you got 6 months on it.
Wow.
Johnson Smith jumped on that ship. And to make a long story short, what do you think happened? They sold the rights to Disney, and then that's it. Harvey got destroyed. I think you ain't gonna see no Casper or stuff like that no more because Disney's gonna push Mickey Mouse on their place, And they also bought Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. So we're in a situation that you're not gonna see much of them anymore, I think.
That's why you go online and find the all classic, the originals.
Yeah, it's called Classic Comics. Sometimes I'll pop on there. There's different 2-hour, 3-hour type versions.
Joe,
pretty cool.
Joe, what can you say about those missing years in comics? Do you have any idea why that happened?
What missing years?
I'm telling you, like between the 80 and 84. I'm telling you, there was no comics anywhere.
Why? I mean, like anything, it goes with the market, I think. And there were comics, but they were probably very hard to find because you had a lot of sports cards that were big at that time.
That's
and not
true.
until about 82 was toys were getting very big because the cartoons were coming out. They were like longer advertisements, so they were pushing a lot of the toys. And I remember comics at that time being at a local pharmacy that was locally ran, and they always had comic books there from talking to people from the 70s is that they had them there. But it's like anything with the market. If they're going to sell, people will put them out. If they don't think they're going to sell,
that's right. Yeah,
they're not. I remember in a city adjacent to me, there was a huge magazine kind of convenient. It was a convenience store that had a huge magazine section. I mean, absolutely huge. And talking to some people was that they had always carried comics there from the 50s.
Wow.
And up until the day that they closed. So I think it was just a matter of, are they going to sell? And if they didn't think they were going to sell in that area, because you got to remember, comics at that time were geared towards kids, not adults.
Right.
So if they didn't think that there was any kids in the area, or if there wasn't the market, they weren't going to sell them. It's just, kind of supply and demand.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big issue with it.
And if you look back at some of these mom and pop stores, I know when I was real young, there was one place called Wise's mom and pop store. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was maybe 4 feet wide, maybe like 12 feet long. It was almost like a little tunnel that you walked in, and they had like a whole stack of comic books, like on a shelf on the right. Left, they sold penny candy. It was like all catered to kids almost. It was really cool. And you know what? And back in those days, it seems like penny candy was pretty big, unless I was a 5-year-old kid, so it may look big back then. I don't know, but it was actually pretty good. I mean, if you come in there with 25 cents, you got quite a big bag of candy.
Yeah, I think Chuck, Joe hit it on the head right now. And I just realized that's exactly what happened. Kids weren't buying comic books as much in 1980.
No, you're
kids
right.
We're not playing games, video games.
Yep.
And you know what, Joe? You hit it on the head when you said that. When the comic books started reemerging, it was now core towards an older audience.
It was an older audience.
Yeah. So you're right. That's why all the comic book stores. And let me tell you, one of the biggest things that I got excited about in 1981 through 80, when WWF was getting very popular with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, one thing that happened is that the wrestling magazines started reemerging with all the mail order novelty ads.
Mm-hmm.
And there was about 4 companies that started. One of them was called Brad's Fun Shop. One of them was called, I think, Deer Creek Products. And I was excited. Everything came back. The Hercules wristband, that band that they always showed in comic books. They show a guy with like really strong.
Oh, those were cool.
And you remember he was breaking wood, and he had like 2 round weights on the thing. And that's when I got mine. But you're right, Joe. I think you hit it.
I think that's kind of odd, don't you think, that they would have mail order novelties in a wrestling magazine?
Well, wrestling magazines were geared to young kids and stuff.
Mm.
And let me tell you, they were selling the X-ray glasses again. They were. That's when I started getting into mail order. In fact, that's when I started in 1985. Is when I first ran my first ad.
I could see them maybe doing like the Charles Atlas, mail order or something in there.
They did. If you take any wrestling magazine from the 80s, Charles Atlas has full page ads in all of them.
Right.
That's how you get big and become the next WWF wrestler.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Wrestling was huge back then, 80s and 90s. And I think the thing with the comic books, too, is that, they in the early 80s, they started to become more collectible, too. People realized how rare some of these books were. So it started to boom it. And then, people got interested in comics again, so it caused these stores to start selling more. Just like anything, it goes through baseball cards. Right now you're seeing a resurgence with vinyl records, right. And you're also starting to see a small resurgence of VHS tapes. So everything goes, in its circle.
Joe, just like you're saying, man, you're hitting everything. See, today Joe is one of those wise men.
Hey, you're sharp. You're sharp.
Wow, today, Joe is so wise today.
I did my Zen training this morning.
Yeah, but I
got my thoughts.
I got to say, Joe, I agree with you. But one thing I'm going to tell you that you guys probably don't even realize is half of my mail order novelty stuff from when I was a kid, I was able to purchase them in the early 80s in the wrestling magazines. The ones that I had as a kid that I didn't purchase. So the 7 gigantic dinosaurs that used to sell for $1, I got that like in 1984, 85. And ready for this? I purchased that out of a Psychology Today magazine.
Wow.
They were running that. Psychology Today started getting in the bandwagon with mail order ads. Popular Science and Mechanics and Boys Life magazine, they were packed with Johnson Smith.
Oh yeah, Boys Life, I remember that. Oh yeah.
No, but they kind of like late 70s, early 80s. There was like a year they were a little lame. And then 80 on, they got packed again and got packed. I remember 7 pages of classifieds in Popular Science magazine in the early 80s, everything from how to build your flying saucer. And then in 95, when the internet came on, it started kind of dying off a little bit. And that was it. The death of mail order again.
Yeah. Now, what would be the thinking of putting a mail order advertisement in something like Psychology Today?
Hey, Joe, I don't know, but
that doesn't make sense.
Well, I could tell you one thing. Another big thing, and because I'm telling you, I'm the guy that bought everything you could imagine. So on the 80s, there was a resurgence of the 200 mile per gallon carburetor in Popular Science. It was called the Peugeot carburetor. and I can pronounce the word, but it was like carburetor.
Carburetor,
yeah. And then they had how to build a flying saucer, and I purchased it during the in the Popular Science magazine in the 1980s. But Psychology Today, and especially a magazine which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, it's called Mother Earth News.
Mm-hmm.
They were packed on how to start your own mail order business. Like that's when Joseph Kosman started reselling his How I Made $1 Million in Mail Order. And if you guys are familiar, Joseph Kosman is the guy who made the Uncle Milton Ant Farm. Uncle Milton was actually his uncle. And, he did the Spud Gun, all those famous classic mail order. In fact, I don't know if you guys are aware of it too. Joseph Kosman is the guy who first started selling the 100 toy soldiers for the, for $1.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then the Lucky Toy Company took that over. But, you can see that if you ever read the book, How I Made $1 Million in Mail Order, he'll tell you how he came upon those soldiers. And I was lucky enough to be able to talk to Joseph Kosman one time. I actually called him, I think, twice. First time I only had like 5 minutes with him. Then I had a more, vivid conversation. And the guy was really a phenomenal person, man. Very nice person.
And if you look at all the fads and the trends, I mean, since I was doing magic 1985 or so, I mean, I've seen kids that are crazy by Cabbage Pail stickers, garbage Pail Kids, POGS, Spuds McKenzie was about 1986 or so. It was like one thing after the other. It was like, wow, like nonstop. And then they would drop interest as fast as they got into it. It was crazy.
Yeah, well, that's even that Pokemon was big in the late 90s, and now it's coming back again, and it's huge. I mean, there's some of those cards are worth tons of money, and people wait in line for these new packs and everything to come out.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I'm waiting for POGS to come back around.
Yeah, you know what, POGS years ago, you know what, like I actually have to keep up on my jokes and stuff because you know what, way back 30 some years ago, I used to tell jokes about Spuds McKenzie. If you mention something like that now, kids are going to go, what? Who? Spuds? What?
I tell you, if I find some cool looking POGs, I still buy them. A couple months ago, I found on eBay they were Universal Monster POGs. And they were still in the package, so I picked those up. And about 3 years ago, I found at a comic book show, I found a Star Wars POGs, and it was still in the original. It still had the cardboard display case, which was open, and there was something like, I don't know, 30 packs in there, and the guy was selling all the pack. No, there was maybe 40 to 50 packs in there, and the guy was selling all the packs, I think, for $1.50 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Or $2. And I said, if you give me a deal, I said, I'll buy everything and take the with the cardboard. And
absolutely,
I got a good deal on it. But if I find POGs, I try to buy them, and usually they're cheap. And I still have a whole bunch that I bought in the 90s, which were mainly like superhero or cartoon ones.
Right.
Yeah, there's some cool ones out there, man.
Oh yeah, no, at 20 years ago, it was the Beanie Babies. I mean,
every
kid I did shows for was showing me Beanie Babies. I said, okay, tons of Beanie Babies.
I'm going to spread the word so that POGS can come back again and Joe can be rich.
Yeah. We got to bring POGS back, man.
Yeah. I tell you, the one thing I always liked ever since I was a real young kid, and I think they're still being made every once in a while. If I go to Target, it seems like they still sell the old wacky packages. Those were great.
Oh yeah, they have done some of those but they're expensive now. I think you get like 8 cards for like $3 or $4. Something
that. The prices are through the roof. But you know what? Those were hilarious.
Oh yeah, man. I still got some original ones that
and then the drawings on it were just unbelievable.
I love the wacky packages, man.
They were great. Oh,
yeah, it's good to see a lot of that stuff come back around. So, like I said, vinyl has been blowing up. And now VHS is, there was, what's that, that one that just sold a couple of weeks ago for like 30,000 was the, Back to the Future DVD.
Yeah.
Some special edition one still in the package, and it sold at auction for like 30,000. And a lot of people, they want these VHSs not for the movies or the tape, but for the box cover art.
The box cover art.
You're kidding me about that DVD, are you, Joe?
I'm gonna look it up right now and see how much it sold for. Let's see. Yeah, I thought it was a few grand. I think it was a special edition one.
I have that special edition. I mean, if it is the one I have, send me a picture because I do have Back to the Future on DVD. I'm going to tell you something though.
Oh, I'm sorry. It didn't sell for 30,000. It sold for 75,000.
Oh, excuse me. You know, you went wow.
It was graded. So it was sent in. I guess there's some type of grading thing for it. It was graded at a 80 plus, and it doesn't look like it's a special. It looks like it's just a regular in the package. I'm trying to read and see if it was open. It looks like it's open too.
Wow.
Send me a link to that,
if
Joe.
I have that one.
Joe, send me a link because I want to see that. But
you might have to put that on eBay, Eddie.
I'm sorry, when did it sell on eBay?
No, let's see. No, it sold at Heritage Auctions.
Okay, yeah, because the problem is with eBay, when they sell, they try to pull a stunt like that with the Disney films. And what happens is that you can put a thing on eBay right now, charge $1 million, somebody, bid on it, and then it'll go through as sold. And then I would say, hey, cancel the bid. And in the back end, you didn't really sell it, but yet the people would see in sold auctions that it sold for that, and it will probably make the newspaper, but it didn't really.
Okay, so this is what it's saying here. This is why it went for so much. I'm going to read directly from the article, and Eddie, I just sent it over to you. It says, sometimes nostalgia comes with a big price tag. A sealed, near mint condition 1986 VHS tape of Back to the Future recently sold at auction for $75,000, setting a new record for videotape.
Wow.
The VHS copy was owned by actor Tom Wilson, who played Biff Tannen in the classic 80s film. Wilson originally listed the tape along with others on eBay, but took them down when he received an overwhelming response. He then reached out to Heritage Auctions in Dallas to conduct a proper sale. Wilson's collection included sealed and graded VHS tapes of Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, and 1990s Back to the Future trilogy box set. What made this collection special was Wilson's offer to write a note to accompany each tape and sign each shipment.
Wow.
So there's a little bit more than just the tape going for that much. You're getting a lot with from this action. Is it worth $75,000? Obviously, to somebody it was, because it says a New York-based collector won a bidding war for the Back to the Future VHS copy. Heritage Auction said, adding that the $75,000 price tag was the highest price ever paid at auction for a sealed graded VHS tapes. It says VHS tapes are experiencing a resurgence among collectors, with Heritage Auctions fetching big money for such films as The Goonies, Ghostbusters, and Jaws.
Wow, look at that.
So, I'm guessing if people are going to pay big money for them, they're going to have to be
perfect.
Perfect, unopened. Because I've seen like The Goonies, Ghostbusters at flea markets, and you could find them on eBay for a few bucks that are opened, and usually they're pretty banged up because at the time they were probably at some kind of video store, and they got handled a lot, banged around a lot, dropped. So I guess finding a good one might be kind of hard with that, but
yeah,
I you got to have some extra spending cash to spend $75,000 on this.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? I fell for that. The reason I was telling you about eBay is because when I saw it on TV, I think it was TV or AOL, Disney's movie sold for $30,000. I went ahead and purchased all those first edition Disney movies on VHS. I purchased 10 of them and spent $84, which I regret so much. It's crazy buying those stupid films.
Eddie, I got a buddy of mine gave me, I think 40. There's 46 Disney VHSs. A lot of them, Black Diamond ones. Some are unopened, and I have them on eBay, and I can't even give those things away.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't sell. I mean, they don't sell. I think some of those auctions are people, who might have fake accounts who say that they buy them.
Right, something's up.
Yeah, I think they're trying to drive up the market, because I've had these things on there, 46 of them for, less than $1 or less than $2 a piece, about $1.50 a piece, and I can't get hits on them at all. And I just want to kind of get rid of them.
Yeah, maybe if you toss a POG in or something, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not giving away my POGs, Chuck.
you know what the problem is with the Disney ones, that is not only are they huge, but then they have those stupid plastic boxes that take extra space. And
that's kind of why the Disney movies I want. I have them on DVD. I don't want all these VHS ones, and they're just taking up too much room where I could put some extra POGs, man. Send me POGs. Who's out there that wants to trade POGs for Disney tape?
Well, I want to trade comic books, Joe. I'll give you 10 Disney tapes for you know what's funny, Joe? If I find any POGs, which I believe I have quite a few, I'm going to send them to you. The only
I'm telling you, man, we need to make a resurgence of the POGs, man. That way, the ones that we have will be millionaires, and we could, we could, like, who is it? Uncle Scrooge, when he would dive into his thing of gold coins, we'll dive into our room of POGs.
Well, Joe, I'm going to say something. The POGs, and this is something you might not really know, but when I was a little kid, and Chuck, there was a game called Battling Tops. And the way it was, you had tops. They looked like POGs, but they had long little sticks in the middle, and you put it into a ring, and then they fight.
I remember that.
And it was called Battling Tops. And I think whoever started the POGs must have gotten that particular thing and copied it. Now, one thing I'm going to say to you, when you guys say about POGs, is that POGs did make it for a while. They were selling them like crazy, but they reminded me, because of their size and stuff, to that. Remember the collector thing I told you in the 1970s? I spoke in a show that you would get this 50 cents piece, things that you would put into an album. And then you would win a bike.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. And I kind of wanted to get into POGs because of the fact that I used to love Battling Tops and stuff. And I do have several POG rings where I think you had to like launch them and stuff. But I got to tell you, though, I think I was too old already when they were around.
You know what? POGs remind me of, pin back buttons.
Yeah, right.
They were big at one time, and now everybody tries to sell them for, a penny at the flea markets and can't get rid of them. And there's just tons of them. That's kind of what POGs remind me of. But I rarely see POGs anymore. You see pins everywhere. You go to any flea market and find millions of pins there. Yeah, there are some that are still worth some, good money from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, especially the premiums. But POGs, you never see them around. I think a lot of kids either threw them away or parents.
That's exactly it, Joe. I think they threw them away, or garage sales. They sold them. That was so many years ago.
I never see them. Like I said, if I see them at conventions, I scoop them up, and I've only seen them at one convention one time, and that was the Star Wars ones.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've never seen them. I've never seen the slammers or the cardboard POGs.
Those darn people, man.
Oh, you know what? I do have. I picked up. Actually, a buddy gave me 4 unopened packages of Kool-Aid POGs, and they're all the same. I kept 2 of them, and I actually sold 2 on eBay. And honest to God, when I put them on eBay, within 2 or 3 days, they were gone. They sold that quick, and I really wanted to sell the third one, but there's a part of me that wants to open it and just keep one in the package. So I'm not going to sell it. I already sold my 2, but yeah, I was surprised at how quick they went. I mean, as soon as the first one within a day, the second one within 2 or 3 days, I was absolutely surprised. And I know Kool-Aid stuff, does pretty well, but I figured, Kool-Aid POGs, it's, I'll put them on for, I think I put them on for like $10, best offer, and nobody even offer a best offer. They grabbed them.
They just bought it. Yeah. You know what? You just don't know if it's going to sell. You don't know. I mean, things like that have happened to me too. I'll put things on. Hey, but I know we're getting short on time here. You know what? I want to get back to the wacky packages real quick.
Yeah.
Out here in Pittsburgh, there's a few guys, probably about 25 years ago or so. They got together and they made their own version of wacky packages. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's called You Slay Me. And
No.
they're like really cool, and it's got like a monster theme to it. You know, I went to a flea market, I guess about maybe 8 years ago, and so they had a brand new unopened box of these, you know, like a huge box that holds like maybe 30 separate of these. And so I said, well, what exactly is this? He said, well, me and a few friends of mine got together and we kind of redid the wacky packages. And it's really cool because they're like monster themed. They're like, you know, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Dracula, and so forth. But if you have a chance, check it out. You might be able to find them. It's called You Slay Me.
Yeah, I'm looking at some photos online now, and they got like those old. Remember when they did the old monster picture cards with like a comedy saying at the bottom? That's, you know, what these look like with some fantastic artwork.
Jeez, the artwork is great. Yeah, you know what the guy told me? The guy that did these, he actually told me, that a friend of his was the artist, and they were really, really cool. Like they'd say, hey, let's go out tonight and eat Italian. Okay, so they showed this little Italian guy laying on the table, and these monsters they had forks and so forth. You know, it was pretty cool.
I'm looking at one right now. It's a card of they're on a beach, and there's two guys in like scuba outfits, one, you know, with the goggles, the tank, the flippers, holding a harpoon, and there's two aliens that looks like they popped out of their flying saucer, and they're pointing at the scuba guys, and it says "Earth monsters, full speed back to Mars."
Yeah. You know what? They were really cool. I was surprised how nice they were.
Hey, do you guys remember wacky packages coming out on Wonder Bread? They used to be free in Wonder Bread at one time.
Oh, I think I do.
No, I don't.
Yep.
They were free. I think before they started in the early 70s. I could be wrong, this guys, but I think I know Wonder Bread used to have those weird cards in it.
The cards in it, yeah.
Kool-Aid, you could always order something in back of a Kool-Aid packet. Just like Bazooka Joe.
Hey guys, those You Slay Me cards, there are a few of them on eBay for fairly cheap. Some of the packages, they have one package for $3.85, but shipping $6. That's a lot. You got to really look on there. There's some single cards. There's 3 of them for 99 cents. So if anybody's interested, like I am, I'm gonna definitely check them out and see what I could find, because that's some fantastic artwork, and it looks like it's in the 80s.
Yeah, it was back in the 80s,
something like that.
Maybe the late 80s, somewhere around there. But I'd highly recommend getting it, man. They're really good, and the artwork is top notch.
I guarantee you guys that they got the name from when Ralph says to Alice, "You're crazy," and Jesus, "I call you killer because you slay me."
You slay me.
Well, hey guys, we got about 2 minutes here, so we are gonna wrap things up here, and I want to send everybody out there listening over to our YouTube channel, House of the Unusual. Eddie and Chuck are always putting up some great videos there weekly. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, get your notifications and all that for it. And if you haven't, subscribe to our free forum site at houseoftheunusual.com. We do have that robot monster thingy, whatever, mastery, blah, blah, blah challenge that we talked to at the beginning. Listen to the beginning. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to reiterate that, but that's there. Check it out. And also, man, very important, man, which I really want to start pushing this, is whatever platform that you guys are listening to us on, please, subscribe to our channel and leave us a review. The reviews really help us get us out there to the public. The more reviews, the better. And, the algorithms really push us out to different audiences and all that. So make sure, if you're on Apple or Spotify, subscribe to us, give us a 5-star review, leave a review, all that good stuff. It definitely helps us out. And I'm going to speak for Chuck and Eddie on this. We want to thank everybody out there who listens to us every week. And it really means a lot. I know we got people all over the world that listen to us, so definitely want to thank everybody. So, guys, that's all we got for today. I think we covered a lot of cool stuff this week. And, hey, hopefully we'll have Sherry on with you next week, Chuck.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that would be
talk
great.
with her, and I'm gonna yell at her of why she didn't watch the It movie. Hopefully, she'll watch Double Door. It's not gruesome or anything, but I think she would enjoy it, and I think everybody out there will enjoy the Double Door. So, Eddie, Chuck, man, that's all I got, guys. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and good night.
Okay,
God bless, man.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.